Guys, welcome to LifeOfAccro. I'm AccroBrandon and this is my life. I'm actually using the helmet to hold the camera as a selfie stick instead of the Joby tripod because I'm feeling lazy. But today we're going to talk about bullet time, Insta360 1X, some different tips and techniques when using the string or the bullet time handle, whether you use the DIY handle that I just did a video on, or if you're going to use the included string. Let's take a look. There's a few different techniques, not a ton. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You take the camera, you put it on the end of something, and you swing it around like a soap on a rope, okay? But what I've learned about the string, and the string should come with everybody's package, it's free, at least get you started. When you have the string, there's a little hole at the very end that you can put your finger through so that you can hold it, right? So depending on how you spin the camera will dictate how good the results are. With that being said, what we are always trying to avoid on a 360 camera are the stitch lines. So these could make your bullet time look a little funky as the camera is spinning, but the gyro keeps everything facing downwards. Or if you can get it really nice and smooth, then you got a better result, okay? You get like a pinwheeling effect. So when you have the string around your finger, what you want to do is try to get the slack to tighten up first, and then spin with your finger like this in a circle and let the rope rotate around the finger. It might feel like you're gonna get like rope burn or something, but you're not, you'll be totally fine. You planes. One of the things that I did in the beginning was I was grabbing the little loop at the end and I was rolling the wrist like this as I spun it around, which could create an interesting result. You'll notice that you'll get like a pinwheelie effect from the stitch lines. So if you have a creative background, that tends to work out pretty good for you. But if you don't, it just looks like a lot of stitch lines going back and forth and it doesn't look smooth. So what you don't want to do is roll the wrist and hold the line taut, because as you turn your wrist here, the line is like 3 or 4 feet long already, and that starts to wind up, and as it cuts through the air, as you come around on one side, it winds it up this way, but as you come back up the other side, it's unwinding on the other, so it gets this kind of like rolling one way, rolling back way, like winding up a rubber band with like a washer in the center, right? It kind of goes back and forth, back and forth. So if you can avoid doing that and just spin it around the finger, that'll help you get better results. Tip number 2. Don't make videos in a rich white man's neighborhood, okay? There's tons of gardeners here and leaf blowers and high-level mowing machines. I don't know what it is about where I live, but everybody loves to use their leaf blowers during spring, summer, and early fall, all day, every day, like it's some game. Anyways, tip number 2. Number 2, when using the DIY handle or the bullet time handle, try and get it nice, smooth motion as you swing the handle around, okay? What you want to try and avoid is swinging it around and letting the handle flop in your hand so it looks like it's kind of got a weird orbit to it. Try to get that centrifugal force started quick so that it pulls on the eye bolt if you're using the DIY handle, and you can get some nice, smooth pulls as you go around. Tip number 3. Think about what your point of interest is and what's interesting about the area that you're at. I had to learn this the hard way. You just grab the bullet time handle, you swing it around overhead, everything looks great and amazing, and then you come back and review the footage and you're like, meh, it was okay. So think about where you're at. In my case, for this little shot right here, I was in St. Louis at the Arch. It's super amazing, super huge. They've totally redone the entire waterfront and they finished that up. So the question is do I want to look at the arch while I'm swinging the handle for bullet time? Or do I want the arch to be behind me? What I found is that your point of interest, or the interesting part in that subject, is to have it behind you so that way when you're swinging it, it sees you, you see it in behind you, in the background, and everything looks amazing. Tip number 4, swing it fast, but not too fast. What I found the first few times is even though this thing records in 100 frames per second, if you whip it too fast, it almost gets a little bit nauseating and too quick for the bullet time to actually look really good. So try to slow it down, swing it overhead, be nice and smooth, but not too fast. Tip number 5, location change. No, just kidding. I did change locations, but tip number 5 is try something new or do something different. So I've got 3 different fun little things that we're gonna try, and this is the creative part that's interesting. 1, have you ever held the bullet time handle? Well, you don't have one yet, now do you? Have you held the bullet time handle in front of you and thought about spinning it in front of you. Now it kind of works, but not really. If you go a little bit slower and smoother, you can actually get something really interesting. I feel like I'm like an airbender or something, or Doctor Strange, you know, when he's trying to put up a force field or something like that. That's kind of how I feel when I'm spinning it. Let's take a look at that footage right here. Another thing that's super interesting that I tried that I really like is, instead of swinging the Insta360 over your head and making your hand the point where it pivots around, what if your body was the center of the pivot point? So as you hold the camera out, you rotate in a circle like this, and then as you create variations, you spin around in a circle, and then you'll stop and you'll swing it above your head a couple of times, drop it back down, do some more circles, and back up and back down. Super interesting stuff. It's a little bit smoother on the selfie stick than it is on the strings, but both work. Look at this. And then number 3, for getting creative with bullet time, what if you don't stand still, right? Can't we swing this thing while we walk, or maybe ride an electric skateboard or a one wheel or some other mobile device where you won't run anybody over? I did. Super interesting stuff. Let's take a look at this and then we'll wrap up. Well, that's it, guys. That's all I've got for you for this video here on some tips and tricks on ways to get better bullet time videos. If you like what you saw, feel free to hit like or even subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop those below. And as usual, I'll see you guys in another video.
All